This desire made Marie Curie conduct pioneering, extremely dangerous, and finally life threatening research on radioactivity. This desire made John D. Rockefeller amass millions that he never spent. And this same desire made the richest family in your town build a house far too large for its needs. I don't know. And I don't know. This desire makes you want to wear the latest styles, drive the latest cars, and talk about your brilliant children. It is this desire that lures many boys and girls into joining. Wait for it. That lures many boys and girls into joining gangs and engaging in criminal activities. The average young criminal, according to E.P. Mulrooney, one time police commissioner of New York, is filled with ego. And his first request after arrest is for those lurid newspapers that make him out a hero. The disagreeable prospect of serving time seems remote so long as he can gloat over his likeness, sharing space with pictures of sports figures, movie stars, and politicians. I want to say I will give a shout out to A Righteous Perspective. When Dr. Marjorie, Flying with Purpose, myself, Regina Connell, and River. River Reacts. Hold on, I'll think of her. Hold on. Right, left of center is her channel also. Liberty Bell Reacts, Bell with an E. Liberty Bell Reacts, that's her channel. So we were all on there, and she mentioned this very thing that, I don't think that we should glorify them in the press. We shouldn't do the perp walk, and simply because that's what they want. They want that recognition. And even if it's negative, it does shine some sort of light on them. All right, one moment. All right, we left off talking about perp walks, kids, even any kind of criminal, really. And, you'll find that even, Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth, all of them, they all wanted fame. They were very narcissistic. They sought to be glorified somehow, some way, for whatever reason. Let's continue on. And I'm not sure that that was always Lincoln's motive. I'm not sure. And I think he's not sure. That's why he's laying all these facts before us, or facts as he sees them. Let's keep going. And he covers all the foreign entities. I will say it's pretty amazing. Let's keep going. All right. So, if you tell me how you get your feeling of importance, I'll tell you what you are. That determines your character. That is the most significant thing about you. For example, John D. Rockefeller got his feeling of importance by giving money to erect a modern hospital in Peking, parentheses, Beijing, parentheses, close, China, to care for millions of poor people whom he had never seen and never would see. John Dillinger, on the other hand, got his feeling of importance by being a bandit, by being a bandit, a bank robber, and a killer. When FBI agents were hunting him, he dashed into a farmhouse up in Minnesota and said, quote, "I'm Dillinger." He was proud of the fact that he was public enemy number one. I wonder if P. Diddy, Sean Pathetic Combs, because he's seen as public enemy number one. He will have his day in court. Yes, one significant difference between Dillinger and Rockefeller is how they got their feeling of importance. I fixed my microphone. Is how they got their feeling of importance. And I think that's very important to recognize. So let me read that again. Yes, one significant difference between Dillinger and Rockefeller is how they got their feeling of importance. How they got it. History sparkles with amusing examples of famous people struggling for a feeling of importance. Even George Washington wanted to be called, quote, His Mightiness, the President of the United States, end quote, and Columbus pleaded for the title of, quote, Admiral of the Ocean and Victory of India, end quote. Catherine the Great refused to open letters that were not addressed to, quote, Her Imperial Majesty, end quote, and Mrs. Lincoln in the White House turned upon Mrs. Grant like a tigress and shouted, quote, How dare you be seated in my presence until I invite you, end quote. Now, again, we have to go to each scenario. Am I embracing or endorsing any of this behavior? No, I am not. I am saying we were not exactly there at the exact moment. We don't know. I mean, let's look at Catherine the Great. She may have been kind of out there, whatever, but she held a nation together. Let's look at the other leaders, the things that they overcome. Do I agree with them? Columbus is probably the one I'm most disgusted with, that we've uncovered more and more in history that's kind of been, swept under the carpet. But all the truth will come out, and it's up to you to decide, not for me to decide for you. Let's keep going. All right. History sparkles with amazing examples. Okay, so we went through that. And we ended with Mrs. Lincoln, the wife of Mary Lincoln was her name. How dare you be seated in my presence until I invite you? Our millionaires helped finance Admiral Byrd's expedition to the Antarctic in 1928 with the understanding that ranges of icy mountains would be named after them. And Victor Hugo aspired to have nothing less than the city of Paris renamed in his honor. Even Shakespeare, mightiest of the mighty, tried to add luster to his name by procuring a coat of arms for his family. Hey, we've already been thinking about getting a family crest. What's wrong with that? People sometimes became invalids in order to win sympathy and attention and get a feeling of importance. For example, take Mrs. McKinley. She got a feeling of importance by forcing her husband, the President of the United States, to neglect important affairs of state while he reclined on the bed beside her for hours at a time, his arms about her, soothing her to sleep. She fed her gnawing desire for attention by insisting that he remain with her while she was having her teeth fixed, and once created a stormy scene when he had to leave her alone with the dentist while he kept an appointment with John Hay, his Secretary of State. And let me remind you, wives, all you Christian wives out there, we support our husbands. We support our husbands. And when we have a husband that loves us as Jesus loved the church, who would not want to submit to that, then we want to do great things to support our husbands, right? Even when we're losing money, even when we're losing people around us, but our family is intact, that says a whole lot to me. And we thank you in the mighty name of Jesus for protecting the Trump family and everything attached to all of them. All right, let's keep going while I still have a voice. And you guys, I'm going to end this and probably start launching it out. And then I'm going to go get my hair done because we have a great show tonight. The Book of Revelation. We are picking up part C, and we are picking up starting out in chapter 7. I've done some artwork, both using open source AI Grok. That's GROK. You can find that through the X platform. It's a great perk that you get when you pay the yearly subscription. And we do a pay by the year. There are to pay monthly options, and it's a great format. We also subscribe to Elon Musk himself. He's got a subscription plan, and it's just great to have that cool little badge. Purple's my favorite color, and that's the main reason I do it. All right, you guys. So if we support someone, we support someone. If there are, things listed out that you say, hey, you get this, this, and this with the subscription, like we subscribe to Elon Musk, $4 a month, and it reads nothing to see here. And we still pay the $4, right? It's great. We love it. But there's a lot to see because you get insights on his posts and things that because he has a seat in the cabinet for our government now, and he's been the hardest warrior for free speech. So we thank you, Elon Musk, and we thank your whole entire family. And definitely, we're going to be getting A Woman Makes a Plan on the book Nook by the good May Musk. So my good friend Dr. Marjorie with Flying with Purpose and relationship counselor. She also has another Marjorie Reacts YouTube channel. She and I will at some point hopefully be doing that book together. And she herself is an original fictional author and I would say a great interpreter of the nonfiction Holy Christian Bible. Christian Holy Bible. Okay, you guys, let me continue on. I'll get as far as I can. I'm not going to go over an hour. I may just continue recording and then, bear with us. We always said we wanted it to be raw. So I'll take the good Dr. Marjorie's advice and chop it up into smaller bites and release it that way. Okay, let's keep going. All right, let's keep going. Wow. So people sometimes became invalids in order to win sympathy and attention and get a feeling of importance. And I'll remind everyone they put a label on that. It's called Munchausen's, is one form of it. For example, take Mrs. McKinley. Oh, we went through this. Yes, she got a feeling of importance by forcing her husband, the President of the United States, to neglect important affairs of state while he reclined on the bedside beside her for hours at a time, his arm about her, soothing her to sleep. She fed her gnawing desire for attention by insisting that he remain with her while she was having her teeth fixed, and once created a stormy scene when he had to leave her alone with the dentist while he kept an appointment with John Hay, his Secretary of State. And I will say, I've had those moments myself, and my good Lord King husband he made the right choice as well and stayed with me. I wouldn't demand those things of him now, though. If some people are so hungry for those feelings of importance and intention that they actually find solace in madness to win them, imagine that miracle you and I can achieve by giving people honest appreciation this side of sanity. Now, I do like that statement. So let me read it again. If some people are so hungry for those feelings of importance and attention that they actually find solace in madness to win them, imagine what miracle you and I can achieve by giving people honest appreciation this side of sanity. One of the first people in American business to be paid a salary of more than $1 million a year. And there's an asterisk, which means there's a reference equivalent to about $15 million today. Wow. That's a lot. Parentheses, when there was no income tax and a person earning $50 a week was considered well off, parentheses closed, was Charles Schwab. Now, if any of you know who Charles Schwab is, well, he's a great marketing portfolio investment company. He had been picked by industrialist Andrew Carnegie to become the first president of the newly formed United States Steel Company in 1921 when Schwab was only 38 years old. Parentheses, Schwab later left U.S. Steel to take over the troubled Bethlehem Steel Company and rebuilt it into one of the most profitable companies in America. Parentheses, this is kind of disturbing reading this, guys. All right, let's continue on. We're almost done. All right, why did Carnegie pay $1 million a year or roughly $3,000 a day to Charles Schwab? Because Schwab was a genius? No, because he knew more about the manufacture of steel than other people? Nonsense. Charles Schwab told me himself that he had many men working for him who knew more about the manufacture of steel than he did. Schwab says that he was paid this salary largely because of his ability to deal with people. I asked him how he did it. Here is his secret set down in his own words, words that ought to be cast in eternal bronze and hung in every home and school. every shop and office in the land. Man, Mr. Carnegie, I'm not sure you'd be saying all that if you lived in today's world and saw the atrocities that were happening today. Words that children ought to memorize instead of wasting their time memorizing the conjugation of Latin verbs or the amount of the annual rainfall in Brazil. Words that will all but transform your life and mine if we will only live them. I say start with the Bible first. I'll reiterate that and keep reiterating that until I draw my last breath. Cons- mm, Quote, I consider my ability to arouse enthusiasm among my people, end quote, said Schwab, quote, the greatest asset I possess and the way to develop the best that is in a person is by appreciation and encouragement. And it is, just don't give false appreciation and false encouragement, end quote. I added the encouragement end of the quote. There is nothing else that so kills the ambitions of a person as criticism from superiors. I never criticize anyone. I believe in giving a person incentive to work. So I am anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. If I like anything, I am hearty in my approbation and lavish in my praise. Well, what's wrong with that? I like that. That is what Schwab did. But what do average people do? The exact opposite. If they don't like a thing, they bawl about their subordinates. If they do like it, they say nothing. As the old couplet says, once I did bad and I heard ever, twice I did good, but that I heard never. And I will agree with that. And I always tell people, hey, how can I leave a review for you? How can I exhort you, exalt you if the service is up to par and over par? And I'll say it again, I do believe in the exception to the rule. However, that exception must be exceptional. Let's keep going. In my wide association in life, meeting with many and great people in various parts of the world, Schwab declared, I have yet to find the person, however great or exalted his station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than he would ever do under a spirit of criticism. And I do agree with that to some degree. Yes, we have to want to do it. If we don't want to do it, then what's the point, right? We shouldn't. And even that is even written biblically. Everything that we should do it as if we did it unto the Lord. So if you see a person struggling on the street and you have the capability and you're helping them, what is my motive for helping them? Am I doing it to be seen? Am I doing it because I genuinely want to lift this person up? I know what my motives are. Do you know what yours are? Let's keep going. And I love the way that he, gives all these different quotes and he's comparing them and all of that. And let's remember the time period too. So, wow, that is so cool. So he continues, and I'll read it again. In my wide association in life, meeting with many and great people in various parts of the world, Schwab declared, I have yet to find the person, however great or exalted his station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than he would ever do under a spirit of criticism. End quote. That, he said, frankly, was one of the outstanding reasons for the phenomenal success of Andrew Carnegie. He praised his associates publicly as well as privately. Carnegie wanted to praise his assistants even on his tombstone. His epitaph, which he wrote himself, reads, quote, here lies one who knew how to get around him men who were cleverer than himself, end quote. Sincere appreciation was one of the secrets of the first John D. Rockefeller's success in handling those who worked for him. For example, when one of his partners, Edward T. Bedford, lost $1 million for the film by a bad buy in South America, John D. might have criticized him, but he knew Bedford had done his best. and the incident was closed. Rockefeller instead found something to praise. He congratulated Bedford because he had been able to save 60% of the money he had invested. That's splendid, said Rockefeller. We don't always do as well as that upstairs. End quote. When a study was made a few years ago on runaway wives, what do you think was discovered to be the main reason they fled? It was, quote, lack of appreciation, end quote. And I mean, that's a whole nother rabbit hole conversation in itself. We'll have it at another time. And I would love to just wait until my good Lord King husband is available. Maybe we could play a clip of it and he and I can discuss it and we'll see. Hold. All right, let's continue on as long as my voice will sustain. It will get better. And we're so excited about being able to run the pellet stove. Let's keep going. And I might split this up into 3 parts. We'll see. All right. When a study was made and we're talking about wives here, Mr. Carnegie is commenting on wives, a study they conducted. And again, I'd like to see the number that was included in this study, the demographic. There are a lot of things to consider. And let's also remember the era, the time period. This was released in 1936. So all